$2 from Tivy2V's Gaming Magic's worst games of all time list is fun. I'm really not that crazy about Gaming Magic. I looked at him. He's not that funny. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess we could maybe look at it. Gaming Magic. I heard that his worst games list or whatever. It was something kind of interesting. He does have a Super Mario Brothers movie double feature with both Mario movies where he commentates over it with some other people. GamingMagic13 worst games. I might have already watched this. No, I didn't. Alright, well, maybe this is...
About a year ago, I answered a question.
Maybe this is funny. This might be funny. Alright, it's an hour long. This could be funny. Number 20. He's not going to spoil us on what they all are, but I can see what the first couple are. Wait, what the fuck? Huh. Yeah, I can see what his choices are here. I'm spoiling myself a little on what his choices are. And wow, really? Okay. Huh. Okay, interesting channel, I suppose, yeah.
Question in my 4,000 subscriber Q&A video that asked, what are your top 10 worst games of all time? And at the time, even though my list was largely off the cuff, I still knew that it was an accurate summation of what I considered to be the absolute dregs of video games, and of what angered me the most out of everything I had ever played. What I did not know was that over the course of the next few months, I would find myself playing a handful of games that were so shockingly horrible that they completely upended my list and almost entirely threw all of it out the window. Was ever...
Well, based on what I saw of his list, I mean, the first one alone will kind of tell you all you need to know.
Every game pushed out of the top 10?
At least if it's what I think it is. I saw a title. It might be him using the a title as an example, as he references that in discussion of something else, potentially. But if it's the title that he showed that I saw, then it's not a particularly bad game. So this is
of course not. You'll still see some returning faces from the initial list I made last year, but I hated these new games so much that I could not...
I think this is a different list that people are saying for me to look at, potentially, because there's another list. Hang on. 20 worst games. Top 20 best games. Free Guy, an embarrassing train wreck. I mean, I don't know. I'm not seeing any other game list that's like this, so I would assume it was a Q&A last year.
About a year ago, I
think this is the current video. I think this is fine.
Remember my list from last year? I can assure you that there will be quite a few surprises to find in today's video. To be clear, this isn't a quest to find the objectively worst games that have ever been made, because if we did that, we'd end up with a list comprised of nothing but shovelware for the Wii, 5-minute games made for achievement hunters, and Balan Wonderworld. Games
I mean, okay, that's fair, You're going for games that you don't like for other reasons, sure. Not going after, like, phone Android trash. Okay.
like that are terrible, truly awful creations that you are very unlikely to find anybody willing to defend. But they don't anger me. I have nothing personal against any of these games, they're just poorly made. But I have a major bone to pick with every last game on this list, with some of them almost managing to reach the heights of Toy Story 4 in terms of how utterly insulting they are to me, to their respective franchises, and to the gaming industry as a whole.
Okay,
so, without further ado, let's get this show on the road. As a quick disclaimer, I will be limiting myself to only put one game per franchise on this list, because otherwise there'd be absolutely no variety between the games whatsoever. Now then, in spot number
what is this
list, because otherwise there'd be absolutely no variety between the games whatsoever.
I don't know what he's getting at. Is it a dog? What is that face? I have no idea what face that is supposed to be. If that's supposed to be some reference to a character that I'm supposed to know, I don't know what that is.
Now then, in spot number 20, we have...
Oh, okay, yeah, no, never mind, because I saw he has, like, Bendy and the whatever machine, that one, that shows up, and I thought that was... No, okay, I guess this is a weird, bad game, potentially.
Oh, come on, that's not fair. This doesn't belong on your list. It was just a quick little game priced at $1 made as marketing for Bendy and the Dark Revival.
Oh, so it actually is related to that then. So it's a dollar priced game. I thought you said that wasn't going to be on the list.
Doesn't it seem a little excessive to put such a low-effort game on your list of worst games of all time?
No, it does not. I don't care if this game was made in 1 day or 1 year, and I don't care if it costs $0 or $100. It pisses me off, and I'm gonna tell you why. The Steam page describes this as a horror game, but none of the user-defined tags do. Why?
So it is actually... I thought this wasn't that same game, but I guess it is related. And people do like it. And it's supposedly a horror game. You don't care if this was made in 1 day? I mean, like, how... I don't know how small budget it is. It has a very nice aesthetic. I like the way it looks. I like the, you know, the walls, the texture, the lighting kind of thing is pretty cool, you know.
I don't care if this game was made in 1 day or 1 year, and I don't care if it costs $0 or $100. It pisses me off, and I'm gonna tell you why. The Steam page...
Turn him down? I guess so. Alright, okay.
Describes this as a horror game,
but didn't even do anything, man. I guess I can turn this down. There you go.
None of the user-defined tags do. Why? Well, because aside from the top-down perspective making it impossible for me to feel any sense of dread because I just feel like I'm nothing but a spectator in this universe. You know, my favorite kinds of jump scares are the ones that take 5 seconds to trigger even after being caught by the monster. The entire point
that's valid, I suppose.
of a jump scare is to be unexpected so that you jump when you're scared. Sitting on this black screen just annoys me because I know exactly what's gonna happen and I'm not afraid of being caught anymore because it's already over. Not even mentioning the fact that the jump scares themselves are lame and underwhelming anyway. More importantly, the AI is completely unfair. Bendy, for some reason, will automatically lock onto your location and chase after you the instant you gather all the items in the level. Meaning that even if you manage to remain completely stealthy and go unnoticed the entire time, you are still 100% guaranteed to come face to face with him for reasons you have absolutely no control over. Which is...
So this is like a DSP video where he's like complaining about like the game's too hard, I guess. I mean, you know, that might be a problem with it potentially, but I mean, I don't know. Everybody else who played it said they really liked it. It's fine that you don't, I guess. It's just a very weird thing to put on your worst games ever list as a result of that.
Aside from being an utterly garbage mechanic, also makes zero sense whatsoever because there is no reason why Bendy would react at all to you picking up every item when he doesn't even react to you picking any of them up individually. But it gets even worse, because he also locks in on your location when you get out of the little miracle stations. Hiding places specifically designed to act as a safe haven from the monster where they...
Okay, so he doesn't like this game. He doesn't like Overwatch.
Quite possibly the most controversial placement on the entire list, but it is one that I will stand behind confidently and assertively because Overwatch is a steaming hot pile of dog water. There are the small things, such as the cancel search and change profile actions being bound to the same input. There are the ugly things, like loot boxes, which are universally agreed upon as being horrible regardless of what—
I mean, like, okay, you might not like what the game represents and stuff, but like, I don't know, man, it's a pretty nice looking game. They put a lot of effort into making it all polished and look nice and everything. Again, worst games ever? I don't know. Maybe, is he one of those people that really liked it and then they ruined it, or...
They're not their cosmetic only. And then there's the big things, such as the fact that a majority of these maps do not have any flanking routes whatsoever, meaning that the attacking team is forced on a singular choke point with absolutely nothing that they can possibly...
Okay, alright. Well, I don't know fucking Overwatch. What's number 18 here? Wait, this game.
Look, I don't want to talk about this one any longer than I have to. I have nothing but pain and horror associated with it. But I will say that it's not on the list for the reasons you may think. Yes, of course they contributed to my decision to never touch it again with a 10-foot pole. But the problems with Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb are much broader.
Okay, I don't know what game this is exactly, because now I'm looking at it. I think it's the one that's on the PS2. There's a few really good Indiana Jones games. There's one on the N64 that's basically a Zelda game. Like, it has the exact Ocarina of Time, like, C-button interface on the top of the screen, and it's pretty good. And then there's a PS2 one that's really good. I think it's this one, but this looks different, so maybe this is, like, the PC version or something. They're both really good games, though. Maybe it's a different game, potentially, but those are both... I don't know why you would not like either of those.
than this. Put simply, its controls suck. Platforming is meant to be a core component of the gameplay, but the controls actively discourage jumping around the temples because of how insanely clunky they are and how little control you actually have over Indy's movement. But that pales in comparison to how the game controls once you dive below the water. In order to get out of a body of water, you have to push forward on the control stick to grab onto dry land and pull yourself up, but push—
This is, like, really petty. I mean... I'll quit a game. I'll quit a game for petty reasons and be like, oh, I don't like that this game had this in it. That implies to me that the rest of the game will have stuff that's like this, and I think I'm good. You know? Like, I'll do stuff like that, but I'm not gonna judge the whole game and be like, oh, the entire thing is one of the worst experiences ever. Like, I don't know. The game has a lot going for it, potentially, other than the one thing that maybe made you a little bit annoyed for a tiny period of time. What is wrong with you?
pushing forward is also what you have to do to dive down to the bottom again, which is frustrating by itself, but is made even worse when crocodiles are actively trying to eat you.
I'm sure it's frustrating. I'm certain that this would be an annoying part of the game. No question about that. But also, like, it's probably a pretty small part of the game for him to look how much of this video is him talking about this. Not much, and how much of him talking about this is him discussing being eaten in the water by crocodiles. It's very clear that he got to like the second or third level or wherever crocodiles show up, and he just got mad and stopped playing, and that's why it's on the list, I guess. I don't know, man.
Of which, I guess we should talk about these guys, huh? I don't know who thought this would be a good idea, but they need to reevaluate everything they understand of competent game design, because nothing about these swimming sections is even—
So, people are saying this indeed sucks. This might not be the one that I like then. There was an N64 one, and there was one good one on the PS2. There was another one that was, I think, Staff of Kings, and I think that was the Wii game that was also on PS2. But I think it was this one. It was Emperor's Tomb. Maybe the PS2 one's better. Because this is clearly not the PS2 one. Maybe this is like a weird other version. I don't know, but that game's good. That PS2 one's good.
Thanks partly to the swimming controls, but mostly due to these scaly bundles of nightmare fuel. They swim way too goddamn fast for you to be able to evade them, meaning that if you are not literally perfect with your swimming, which is extremely hard to do—
we go from a game like Overwatch, where it's like a big game that everybody's heard of, to like a weird Indiana Jones game that's like, I kind of have heard of it, but based on the footage I'm seeing, this reminds me of like the PC version of the Spider-Man 2 game. Back in like 2004, there was the really good PS2, Xbox, GameCube Spider-Man 2 game, and then there was like the really shitty, heinous PC one where you like clicked on little spots on the level where you could web swing at, and it was just awful. This reminds me of that, like a weird, different version of the really good PS2 game. So he went from one of the most notable games of all time, Overwatch, to a strange version of an already obscure game. It's a very diverse list. It's a diverse list, but you know, he seemed to have reasonable problems with Overwatch, like the matchmaking and fucking balance and like the user interface and stuff. And this is just mainly he got really mad at crocodiles, this one.
Given the inherently contradictive swimming controls, you're just dead. There's also the issue of the skulls not actually doing anything to distract them. Yes, they swim in the general direction of the skull when you throw it, but even if you throw it as far away as possible and only dive in once they reach the skull, it doesn't matter because once you submerge yourself, they're going to immediately turn heel and make a beeline straight for you anyway. Of course, there's the personal element involved with why I will never play this game again for the rest of my life, and that even just the thought of reinstalling it makes my blood run cold. But you can replace these things—
Personal element? Did this game fucking rape your mom?
—with fluffy teddy bears, and I still wouldn't want to play it because the controls are garbage, and the enriching atmosphere and engaging puzzles are sadly nowhere near enough to make up for it.
I mean, it looks like the PS2 one. That game's good. What the fuck? Maybe I didn't get to the crocodiles. The Witness?
I didn't hesitate to put any of the other games on this list for even a second, but I did for this one because there is a small handful of really creative puzzle mechanics that are worthy of praise. The problem is they're entirely drowned out by the other 95% of the puzzles in The Witness that are complete and utter bullshit. The symmetry mechanics are sorta well communicated, but the problem is that the game does nothing in this.
So look at this game and tell me that this should be on a worst games of all time list. I mean, I don't think it's not really my thing. It's like a weird indie hipster puzzle fuck game. I don't care, but it's like it's nice. It's got nice graphics and stuff. I mean, come on. I don't know. Don't you have any ability to appreciate anything about this fucking game? I don't know. Maybe
Tutorial section to teach you that you need to use environmental clues to apply to the line panels. The game conditioned you to focus on nothing but the panels themselves. The desert ruins are creative, but again, there is absolutely no indication you need to do some Indiana Jones shit and look at the panels on the exact right angle for the sun to reflect off them. This isn't even a matter of not knowing to use the environment. Even if you know to look for environmental clues, you still aren't going to notice how the sun reflects off the panels unless you're standing in the exact spot you need to. If you don't notice this, you are screwed. It's not a matter of applying a
I guess, alright. I mean, but this is again him just complaining about like one specific thing in a game that caused him to stop playing it, and that's why it's one of the worst games he's ever played.
Mechanic you were previously taught to the problem. It's a matter of trying to figure out what the hell the mechanic is in the first place. And those are the only two areas in the entire game that are even remotely close to being well made. Everything else is either extremely esoteric and obscure or just poorly communicated. The shadow puzzles are
so he's just really bad at this game, basically. I mean, I don't know. That's what it seems like. Like, I don't know. It's probably, you know, I would probably also be bad at it. I'm not even judging you, but it just seems like you're doing the DSP, like, bugged puzzle mechanics thing, you know, which, I mean, I'm guilty of, too, to an extent, but this is just very, it's pretty clear. It's like, well, okay, so your problem with the game is the puzzles are hard, and you're bad at them, and you're saying that they don't communicate them, and that's possibly true, but it's also possible that you're just, again, just bad, and you just are saying that, you know, and I don't know, that's just also an option.
Simple at first until they just straight up stop making sense. The rules they set up in the earlier puzzles no longer apply for the later ones, and you're just left bashing your brains against a wall. The jungle puzzles are actually bullshit because there's no clear indication whether pitch, intensity, or volume is what the game is looking for when figuring out whether to draw the line higher or lower. Not to mention the fact that the bird sounds are almost entirely indistinguishable from each other, and that sometimes you can still hear—
I don't know, I'm like... Okay, he doesn't like the fucking puzzle game. Okay, sure. It's just the puzzles it just sounds like the puzzles are too hard for him. I don't know. I'm trying to, like, yeah, I haven't played it, and I've seen other games where it's like, you know, there's actual bugged mechanics, or there, you know, the DSP complaints are actually true. I've seen some stuff like that. Certainly. I've played games like that, but I don't know. That definitely just sounds like you're just bad at the puzzles. I don't know. Without any context, at least. Number 16, Burger King foot lettuce.
Fun fact, if you make a game where the message is, don't smoke, it's terrible for you, and the reviews all consist of people saying it was so bad they went to take a smoke, you might have bungled over yourself somewhere along the way. Yes, smoking is horrible for you. No, you shouldn't do it. This has been a Trevor Magic PSA. But as I've said a million times before, it doesn't matter how benevolent your thematic messaging is if the actual substance of your game is steaming hot garbage. First, the little things. X is the jump button. Y is—
What the fuck game is this, though? I don't know what game this even is. I thought we were talking... I thought you said that this was gonna be like a list of games that weren't like weird shovelware and shit. This is like a Slender clone that's like... what the fuck is this? It's meant to make people not smoke?
X, the jump button. In what game is anything other than A, the jump button? Second, the game runs like ass. It's literally just a bunch of hallways, and for some reason the game just absolutely cannot maintain a consistent frame rate. Just look at this.
This seems like really, really low-hanging fruit, my man. I mean, you went from fucking Overwatch to this. What the fuck is this?
Is the spawn area for the game. I haven't even left the first room and it's already stuck.
No, he didn't even show the title. I don't know what this is.
This is the game itself failing to run smoothly. And this was played on the Xbox Series X. How in the holy hell is the game so poorly optimized that even the Series X can't run it well? Why are you trying to give me a seizure with your loading screens?
But it's like, okay, great. Yeah, it looks bad. I'm sure it's bad. I thought you said you were doing real games people have heard of, though. Like... Really? Oh, he's just bad at the puzzles again, isn't he? This game, I haven't played it, but I have fond memories of watching Vinny play this and try to make scoops and stuff. I actually want to play this and the other Bridge Constructors, because those streams were so great. What do you mean? You just are bad at it. Just tell me you're bad at it.
Turns out, dressing up the Bridge Constructor formula with a Portal coat of paint and having GLaDOS deliver lines copy and pasted from the mainline games isn't enough to trick me into thinking the game is actually good. And just so we're clear, I love puzzle games, and Portal 2 specifically is among my favorites of all time. So I have absolutely no...
Maybe that's because Portal 2 is like one of the fucking easiest, most casual fucking games ever made that anybody can fucking... anybody's grandma can fucking complete Portal 2.
Compunctions about playing a game that intellectually challenges me. Where I draw the line is when the difficulty is no longer generated from logical thinking and puzzle solving, but instead by making micro adjustments to every individual element of the level before ultimately driving yourself insane from the sheer minutiae of it all. The puzzles themselves are brain dead easy. It doesn't take any thought whatsoever to immediately figure out what you have to do and what structures have to go where to accomplish your given task. The hard part...
But that's like not what the job is. The hard part is actually playing the game and making that happen. Yeah, it's like... That's like saying, it's not hard to figure out what you need to do when you're playing a piano. The hard part is actually making your hands do it. That's stupid.
Art is gradually changing the angle of a ramp or the length of a platform. Even if your platform is only 1 centimeter too short or your bridge is angled less than 1 degree off, too bad for you. You fail and you gotta get up.
Yeah, I mean, it's Bridge Constructor, the whole fucking point of the game. I mean, this is why I kind of rage quit when I played Besiege, because it was like, it felt like that. I mean, to be fair, but I also wouldn't call it one of the worst games ever. I was just annoyed with it. Well, that's just how I felt about it. That doesn't make it, like, the problem with the game. I was like, man, I really don't want to have to make my thing, like, perfect just so I could... And it was just me being impatient, because I could have just thought outside the box and done something different. I mean, yeah, you gotta do micro adjustments. That's what it is. That's what they're asking you to do. It's like those people that'll go, like, yeah, but, you know, Hillary won the fucking... popular vote. Well, you know, the what was it? It was like the fucking I forget what it was. The other thing that Trump won, and it's like, well, that's what it actually is that the election is about. So like, it doesn't really matter ultimately. Like, yes, you can see what you're supposed to do here. I get that, but what you're actually doing here is the other thing that you're complaining about now. Like, you have to do that. Electoral college, yeah. You have to do that. You have to actually do the puzzle. You know, it doesn't matter that you can see what you're supposed to do. You have to then translate that to being done. It's like looking at a bunch of wood and going, well, I can clearly see that I need to make a table. But, you know, the tricky part is making it happen. I clearly want to make Kramer's apartment with levels, but, you know, yeah. They make it hard for you. You gotta actually, you know, carve out the levels.
The microscope to fix it. Sometimes in a Rube Goldberg style puzzle, if the minor adjustment you need to make is all the way at the end of the sequence, then you need to wait for the convoy to reach that point before you can see if the fix was successful, and there's absolutely no way to speed this up. You can't fast forward the process, you can't jump to certain parts, you can't begin the test from one specific part of the map just for testing purposes. You have to sit through the entire sequence every single time you need to...
Well, yeah, you know, a fast forward button would probably be great. I'll give you that. That sounds like a valid complaint for a game like this, which I could certainly see that being annoying if you don't have a fast forward button. I would be probably annoyed by that too.
Make even the most minuscule of
I
adjustments.
don't think that would ruin the whole fucking experience though, and the whole thing about like the micromanaged, oh, I gotta specifically make my thing blah blah blah. Well, I don't know, do you? Are you sure you do? Because you might just have to, again, think outside the box a little bit and do something a little different, and maybe it'll be fine. It might not be like a specific one solution puzzle. It might just be that you have tunnel vision and have committed yourself to one path, and you aren't willing to look at the other options.
And it's utterly infuriating to do this over and over again. A puzzle game should test my intelligence, not my patience. And don't even get me started on the blatant member-buried dialogue for GLaDOS that's ripped straight out of the original Portal games. Bridge Constructor Portal is an exercise in dressing up crappy gameplay and pretty Portal packaging and expecting people to clap like seals at it, which apparently is exactly what happened. If you like making the smallest adjustments for every single a puzzle and being punished for being 1 degree off even if you perfectly understand the concept and execution of the solution, then
Concept and execution. Well, you don't understand the execution, I guess, because you haven't done it. I mean, you perfectly understand the execution. Well, then it would be done, wouldn't it?
I guess this game is right up your alley.
Okay. I'll give you the thing about the... Wait, the SpongeBob movie game? Again, kind of weird low-hanging fruit. This is like a licensed game, but also this is the sequel to Battle for the Bikini Bottom, and I don't remember this being that bad.
Whoa, you used to be in the top 10! Whatever did I play to make you fall this far? I suppose only time will tell. Don't worry though, I still despise this game just as much as I used to. On a purely superficial level, the cutscenes are just lazy, crappy PowerPoint presentations of screenshots from the movie. Like, really? You couldn't even be bothered to play the actual clips from the movie? You just resorted to a
Yeah, it's a fucking licensed game for the PS2. What the fuck?
slideshow of images that look infinitely worse than the actual footage from the movie and are of bafflingly low visual fidelity. Speaking of lacking visual fidelity, these levels are ugly as hell thanks to washed out and unpolished textures.
There's like a whole part in the beginning of this fucking video where bro tells us that he's gonna fucking not focus on like shitty cash grab Wii shovelware, and like I forget what the other example he gave was. But I mean, you're giving us weird like an anti-smoking propaganda game. You're giving us like a strange version of an Indiana Jones game. You're giving us a $1 bonus game that went up alongside the Bendy one. You're giving us a fucking SpongeBob like licensed game from 2006 or whatever. What the fuck is this shit?
Which only stand out more thanks to the horrifically unappealing color palettes. But it doesn't just look like garbage, it also plays like garbage because despite ostensibly running at 60 FPS, it consistently dips into the single digits whenever anything of substance happens on screen, which
I can't believe the licensed game, cartoon game, is not great. Okay. Next one.
I don't know that I've...
Man, I don't know, because this is a game I've been interested in playing. Maybe he's got some real reasons to not like it. Well, probably not.
ever seen such a stark contrast between the first and second games in the duology. Because the first Famicom Detective Club game, The Missing Heir, was good. Really good, in fact. Not amazing. The gameplay definitely shows its age with having to talk to people again and again, even if you already discussed a given topic with them already, and no clear direction for how to progress in the investigation. On top of the fact that a majority of the game's cast wasn't super fleshed out, but what the game did well, it excelled at. But this quality clearly could not be maintained for the prequel sequel because the girl who stands behind completely flew off the damn rails.
Okay, then we got Sonic and the Secret
Making your way through the levels of your own volition and through your own control.
I mean, yeah, he's just gonna tell us that the controls are terrible, and he's right. Yeah, that game's terrible.
Initial prototype alpha. The original alpha of this game was such a
Hello Neighbor, alright, that's, yeah, not the worst thing ever, but sure. What is this, Halo?
But others, like Super Mario 64, have nothing to write on other than its
Oh yeah, he doesn't like this game, that's right. Yeah, I saw a video mentioning that. Okay, Mario 64
no
is
matter
one of
what.
the worst games ever.
The perfect game to prove that just because something was revolutionary when it came out, that does not necessarily mean the game has aged well at all. I will never,
Well, don't worry, you don't have to worry about that at all, because your videos are fucking garbage right from the moment they came out.
understand why, but this game has quite the cult following, with some regarding it as one of the greatest games ever made.
Yeah, quite the cult following. It's a real cult hit, that Mario 64. It's one of those cult classics like Star Wars and Democracy.
I have to wonder if these people have ever played any 3D Mario games, or really just any games in general, that were released after the Nintendo 64 era. Yes.
Oh my god, some fucking kid telling me that Mario Galaxy is better. I can't deal with this. I just
When
can't
the game
deal
came
with
out,
this.
it was one of the first games of this scale to ever be made in 3D, so things like free camera control were seen as revolutionary. But some games that are revolutionary still hold up over 20
Yes, remember when Mario 64 had free camera control before the game turned into a fucking corridor game in Galaxy? I like that. I really like
years
that.
later.
I can't blame Galaxy completely, but it sure started the fucking trend. You know, Sunshine, the best Mario game, you know, it had the secret levels, which were like a nice little fun, you know, a nice little fun a linear platforming thing. And then the rest of it was the open stuff. And then Galaxy decided, no, what if instead of having any freedom and moving the camera because we have a shitty Wii remote, what if we just make the whole level just you walk forward and jump a few times, and then it looks really pretty, and there's like a mommy milker's space lady that everybody wants to fuck, and it tricks everybody into thinking the game's really good because the music's nice. You know, Mario Galaxy's fine though. It's you know, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just saying it's the beginning. It was the beginning of the end for a while.
And in fact, outstrip many AAA games released nowadays. But others, like Super Mario 64,
oh, there's my good take for the video.
Have nothing to write on other than its initial groundbreaking success, because trying to play this game nowadays is only pain. The controls are unbearably stiff and unforgiving because you're only
no, I'm just gonna say skill issue. I mean, it's a tough game to get used to. I've had troubles with it. You do gotta get used to it. I've also complained before about like getting out of the water. Speaking of fucking Indiana Jones game, getting out of the fucking water in Mario 64 is just pain. It's just so bad. Well, until you realize how to do it more effectively, at least. It's difficult at first. And then, you know, I realize you gotta like pull back and jump. And it's simple enough once you know it, but before you know it, it seems like it should be simpler than it is, anyway. And, yeah, there's stuff about it. It's a little finicky, but, I mean, man, I don't know, man. Number 10 worst game you ever played, though? It's a skill issue. You're just bad at it.
To make major changes in the direction you're moving. No minor adjustments in your positioning are allowed, which becomes real frustrating real fast considering some of the jumps in this game.
Oh man, don't ever play a fucking Mario 64 ROM hack. Let me tell you, the Mario 64 ROM hacks where the levels are just... I should stream those sometime. They're fucking horrendous. I mean, some of them will be like really nice looking, but then the levels will be just awful, and it'll be like this shit that's designed for Mario speedrunners, and it's like meant for you to make ridiculous triple wall jump backflips over lava pits, and like if you really want to kill your brain, and ruin your mind and break your spirit, like that guy the other night, you should check that out.
The camera is very similar in that it only progresses in stages. You don't have total control, you are only allowed to turn it to an extreme degree, and no minor adjustments are allowed. These sudden jerky movements are extremely jarring and
that's never been a problem for me. You're just complaining.
Actually nauseating to look at. Especially in these types of tight corridors or slides.
I mean, alright, you're gonna give me that specific one example.
Certainly doesn't help that the camera clips in and out of objects and that you are literally not allowed to turn it in certain
it's like it's the first 3D game. There's gonna be some fucking shit that doesn't age that well, but that doesn't really ruin the whole experience.
Directions and have to rotate it the long way around to get the angle you want. But it's not even just the core mechanics. The actual mission design is garbage, from racing against competitors that are slow as dirt and being forced to wait the entire duration of their run before you can get the star.
Mission design of Mario 64? I mean... Like, he's complaining about the fucking Koopa the Quick level? Like, he's complaining that the level is too easy, I guess, because this is meant for, like, little babies to play it and not be too mad when their first Koopa... The second Koopa the Quick race actually held me up as a kid. I couldn't do this. The one in, fucking Tiny Huge Island or whatever. I couldn't do that one. It was hard. This first one is really fucking baby easy. You can do it in, like, 10 seconds or something. And he's like complaining that now that it's too easy.
Trial and error treasure chest challenges, slide sections with abysmal handling. The game is...
Slides are classic. You should just lose yourself in movies. That's my lose yourself in a fantasy world, sir.
Just a slog to get through, and if you told me I'd have to 100% Super Mario 64 or Sunshine, I'd seriously have to think about it. And in case you're wondering why 64 is here instead of Sunshine when I have very little positive to say about that game, it's simple. Sunshine has a pretty solid first half and decent controls. Super Mario 64 has neither, and you will never, ever get me to...
God, he really just wants to play the stupid people Mario games. That's unfortunate.
Play this game to completion.
That's really
no
sad. That's
what.
cringe.
Super Mario 3D All-Stars is a collection of one amazing game, one subpar game, and one indefensible dumpster fire.
Oh my god. Wow. Wow, you're just a moron. Okay. I mean, you're just a moron. I'm sorry. It's unfortunate. I hope you get help with being a moron at some point.
If there was
Okay, Rainbow Six Siege sucks. Fine. Call of Duty. Every Call of Duty? Is it just every Call of Duty?
Oh, right. Only one game per series allowed on the list.
Okay.
Black Ops 3 it is!
And then Fortnite is bad. Okay, and then what's this one?
You are constantly
Fall
fighting.
Guys, like, okay, really? Among Us. He hates Among Us? He hates Among Us. What do you hate about Among Us? How could you hate Among Us? Do you just hate your friends?
I really don't know why I didn't include this game on the list the first time around, but in hindsight, I'm glad I waited because, oh boy, has Among Us somehow gotten even worse over the course of the past year. Let's get something straight.
I can't assume that. I mean, he's got Fall Guys, Call of Duty, Fortnite, and Rainbow Six Siege. I'm assuming that all 4 of these are just skill issue. We can just skip this entire skill issue chunk of the video. Is this one also going to be skill issue? Like, is it just gonna be, I'm bad at lying, they caught me!
Right out of the gate. I don't want to hear about how it's fun if you play with the right group of people, because if you tell me that, then you're only further highlighting the issue. The quality of your experience in this game is 100% dependent on other people being smart.
But the problem is the type of people that I'm friends with are not smart.
Problem is that other people are brain dead, and that makes the experience insufferable because it's not a battle of deception to outwit the others and see if you can identify logical contradictions and pursue the truth. It's a bunch of mindless sheep following the flock to vote for the most hated person on the right.
Oh man, Nig Nuts 69 over there. Jeez, it's a bunch of mindless sheep, everybody. I don't know. It sounds like a bit of a fucking skill issue, buddy. This guy is big brain. Yeah, no, he's not the idiot. No, all of his friends. That's a good thing to say. I mean, who are you playing? Maybe he's just playing against randos. That must be it. He must just be playing against, like, the fucking rando online mode. Who the fuck plays that? Like, children, I guess. Like, if that's what his experience is playing against, like just rando nobodies. Like, Charlie used to do that sometime, and those were really fun videos when he would play against, like, just people, randos on Among Us and do, like, the text chat thing. And it would just be, like, complete fucking brain is potato, like, toddlers. If that's his experience with it, then maybe. If otherwise, he's just, like, throwing his friends under the bus here.
Don't believe me? Well, let's take a look at some examples, shall we? First up, we have the most common trend among people who play this game. One person says, this color is suspicious, or it's this color, and then everyone else immediately votes for that person without any sense of logical reasoning whatsoever.
Well,
Green did nothing wrong
often.
here. He just committed the unforgivable crime of existing in an Among Us game, and thus...
What are you...
whatsoever. Green did...
They literally didn't do green is sus. Okay, and then people are voting green.
nothing wrong here. He just committed the unforgivable crime of existing in an Among Us game, and...
Well, people might be... person might have been the fucking imposter, and you might be the... They might be trying to vote you out. I mean, that's just how it works. This is a meta... He's, like, complaining... It's like saying chess is bad because, oh, somebody beat me with this one strategy, and that's bad. That strategy's imbalanced or something. What do you mean? It's just outwit them. Use your fucking brain. What are you talking about? I think this is what he did, too. It looks like he's playing with randos. He's using the fucking text chat. Who the fuck plays Among Us and isn't in, like, a voice chat with his friends? He must just not have anybody to play the real game with. Yeah, no wonder it's, like, number 5 worst game ever for you. Holy shit.
Because someone randomly said he was suspicious and was therefore ejected for it. But even if he was doing something suspicious, that's literally irrelevant because the only means we had to determine that was this one person's testimony, which absolutely nobody questioned or pressed more information at all and could easily have been lying. And then they did it again, and again, and would you look at that, they were not the imposter! Meaning they were ejected from the game, not because of anything they did wrong, or because an elaborate lie was told by
because that's what the
imposter.
Because an elaborate lie was... No, because that's what happened, though. It was probably the imposter going, yeah, fuck, it's that guy. He was being suspicious. and everybody just jumps to that, and it's like, it's a basic play. You're getting outwitted by, like, the most basic play. You're getting outwitted by, like, the simplest play in this game. Are you fucking kidding me?
Because some random idiot was like, hey guys, it's white! And then the mindless sheep all followed suit. Phenomenal. Just such
He is enraged at the children. Okay, you know what? I gotta give it to you. Tivy2Vs, I think, suggested this. Was it you? Yeah, alright. This is a worthwhile video. He is enraged with the children that he's playing Rando Among Us with online because he can't play it the real way that normal people play it. Oh dear.
Discourse. And I certainly hope you're not going to say, that guy's obviously the imposter. That's a good strategy on his part.
Well, yeah, but that's what...
If you are, then 1. Wow, your standards for what constitutes a good strategy are whack.
No, it's not even a good strategy. That's the point. That's why it's funny that you're... That's why it's funny that you're so mad, because it's just as a very it's day one strategy.
2, that should not work as a strategy. You shouldn't be able to just...
Well then blame humans! What the fuck is wrong with you? That shouldn't work as a strategy. That's not the fault of the game. That's the way human nature works. What the fuck do you mean? That shouldn't work.
Say, it's this person
Oh, there's so much more of this that's dedicated to Among Us, by the way. This is really funny.
Completely randomly with no evidence and having done nothing to earn anybody's trust and have that work. 3, no! He wasn't the imposter. He's just a moron or pathetic troll. Next, we have...
Okay, well, he may well have been either, because you're playing Rando Among Us with nobodies, with, like, children on... from fucking Mexico or whatever on their Switch. What are you fucking talking about? Like... What, for, you know, the person earlier was, the thing earlier that he said was like, oh, you're gonna say, oh, it's good if you play it with the right group of people, but that just highlights the flaws in the design or whatever. And I would say that that's true in the case of a game like Borderlands. I always hate when people are like, oh, it's fun with friends. Like, yeah, fucking anything is fun with fucking friends. Borderlands is shit. It's garbage. If you play it solo, it's a fucking miserable experience. I hate it. And if you play it with friends, it's like, yeah, I'm having a good time with my friend, and unfortunately we decided to play Borderlands. But, like, this is a game that's just entirely a social game. And you're playing it with nobodies that you, like, people you don't know that you can't talk to, that aren't your friends, that you... Like, bro, wow, this is really sad. This is just really sad.
The second most common trend in Among Us discourse, automatically defaulting to voting at the person who reported the body. Literally no information is shared outside of where the body was found. It is the first report of the game, and they immediately point to the reporter with, once again...
Am I being the opinion basher? I'm sorry, but you should get better opinions. That's my response to you.
Where the body was...
I'm sorry you like... What I mean by I'm sorry is I'm sorry you like Borderlands. That's unfortunate.
Found. It is the first report of the game, and they immediately point to the reporter with, once again, zero evidence. Bring in the mindless sheep. Sometimes it'll even happen after absolutely no discourse at all. Sometimes,
I mean, yeah, that is a... None of this is a flaw of the game, though. Like, not a single element that he's complained about is a flaw of the game. You want to complain about how it's buggy sometimes, that's fine. You want to complain about sometimes your tasks will break and shit like that'll happen, absolutely. But this is all just, like, human nature. People are a problem to me. It's the meta of the game, I guess. But, like, again, it's so strange to complain about this from the perspective of somebody who's never fucking played it. Because, like he was saying before, the whole thing about, oh, that's, you know, but that just highlights the problems. But he never really said that he actually played this with friends. He has yet to say whether or not he's actually played this with friends the way it's meant to be fucking played. So, like, does he not have any, like, just 2 or 3 people that he can rope in to just play it? It's like a small-scale game. Nobody? Because this is just not how it's played. This is ridiculous. This is like This is like rating a multiplayer mode in like Halo based on like a bot match. What the fuck is this?
You will literally just report the body, say where you found it, nobody else will say a fucking thing, and then the sheep army charges into battle and you get fucked by absolutely no fault of your own. And then it happens again, and again! Boy howdy, this sure is a well-designed video game! And that's just—
It's not the design that's the problem. The design is human nature. The design is God design. You have a problem with the church, my brother in Christ. The problem isn't the game. The problem might be you.
the
but it's
broad
not the
problems that
game.
can be applied to almost every single round of this god-awful game. Now, let's take a look at some of the unexpected situational bullshit that happened while I was recording footage for this video, and see how bad things can really get. I'm So Sus accuses Belle of faking keys. Belle's rebuttal is, I was talking and got distracted. I'm So Sus's only recourse is— oh. What? You accepted that rebuttal? That doesn't account for the accusation you just made! But that's not even the—
Oh my god. Oh my god, it's like Guptil. That rebuttal was cringe!
worst thing to come out of this game. Later, Belle and I run down into O2 from Electrical. Belle kills TIE Freighter and then runs back into Electrical. Why?
He's like play-by-playing this match with random people all over. That's legitimately what it is. That's the only reason these people would be communicating in text. It's not his friends. It's not people that he knows. It's just random children. Because that's who plays this game, like, you know, with random people as children. It's random children on their Switch or whatever. He's playing it on his Switch. So, yeah, he's getting outwitted by children. He's playing like a weird fucked game mode that's like not the real game. Damn. This is a quality review.
She thought doing this was a—
I mean, you thought the fucking Mario takes were stupid, but this is amazing.
good idea when she knew I was right there was absolutely beyond me, but hey, maybe she knew she'd get away with it due to the fact that the people who play this game are brain dead because after I reported the body, I wanted to say that Belle killed TIE Freighter, except I didn't see the name tag. I only saw the color of the space uniform because it's much easier in the heat of the moment to identify purple killed green than it is to say Belle killed TIE Freighter. But because this game is really shit, the way this auto chat works is that you have to know the username of who was killed in order to make—
Because the game is really shit, baby. The French champagne has always been known for its excellence. The game is really shit. Maybe you should fucking play it the right way then. I don't know.
the accusation. But as if that's not bad enough, this
Get
moron
friends.
says Belle
Like,
killed—
I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Get some fucking friends. This is embarrassing.
Hands, it couldn't have been her.
and everyone believes them, despite the fact that Belle was unaccounted for.
Well, yeah,
this—
don't play it on the Switch, or don't play it with randos over the text chat thing. Have fucking friends on Discord that you're talking to that are like, you know, over voice. Jesus Christ.
Dumbass was sitting on the cameras, meaning there was a substantial period of time that her alibi was not accounted for that this person cannot defend. But there is no auto chat option for that. That doesn't fit one of the prescribed auto chat situations, so I can't do shit in this meeting except say the very convincing phrase of—
She's lying!
I mean, this isn't even really a skill issue at the end of the day. This is a no friends issue. Like,
Skill issue. No Asians. No friends.
like, damn, L plus ratio. Talk about fucking hell.
Says it's not true!
oh, but wait, it gets worse! Because the next person to die in this round is me! The only one who knew the truth that she was the imposter was immediately killed off, and nobody calls it out in the next meeting. But not only that, in this next meeting, someone else who is completely unrelated to me accuses Belle of being the culprit. And the fact that I was killed—
Oh my god, it's Dream. It's the real YouTuber Dream.
further bolster the idea that Belle was the imposter because I wasn't voted out, I was killed. Meaning I absolutely was not the imposter and wouldn't have been lying about what Belle did. And now that someone else has cast suspicion upon her, there should be no room for doubt. And yet, the same dumb fuck from earlier adamantly stands by her screaming that it wasn't Belle, and so everyone gangs up on the line player and thus the game is then lost! Congratulations, you fucking moron, you lost everybody in the game.
How could you do this to us?
How could this happen to me? I made my mistakes, got nowhere to go.
Or Magic, are you dumb? That person was obviously the imposter. No, they fucking weren't. They were just a moron. Again, that's all this game is, dealing with people that are actually brain dead. It's infuriating to play. There is no intelligent discourse to be found in 99% of the rounds I've played in this game, and things only get worse given the fact that people leave the lobby if they don't get the imposter role.
Yeah, he's being outplayed by 5-year-olds. This is crazy.
Or if they die. And because of that, all I had to do in one round was literally kill one person and the round was immediately won because almost the entire lobby had already left despite the fact that the game had already started and nobody had died.
Well, yeah, that's unfortunate. If they penalize the players for doing that in some way, maybe they do even, I don't know, but I mean, hey, I guess that's something. You know, that's something.
Yet. And let's
What
talk
is his next game? I'm bored of this now. He has no bitch has no friends. What's the next game? Really?
the least conclusive conclusion to a story ever written. Visually, the character models and graphics were repulsive to look at. The
Do you think this was repulsive for the 3DS in, like, whatever year this came out in? I think this was 3DS, wasn't it? It doesn't say what year. But, I don't know, this is pretty good for the time. I think this was, like, for the time, it was looking pretty good.
The animations were stiff, unfinished, and comical in some instances. And as far as the gameplay is concerned, some puzzle rooms were admittedly...
No, this one isn't that niche and obscure. This is pretty popular. I mean, amongst... I guess it's I guess it's niche, but it's less niche than some of the other stuff. This is just another... What it is it's just another puzzle game where he's mostly going to be mad about the puzzles, but he also says something about the story, too.
Decent, but the majority of them were either too easy or too esoteric and could only be solved by the game explicitly telling you what to do. Also, the newly introduced ability to look around in any direction you want is nullified by the absurdly narrow FOV. But all of that pales in comparison to how this game handles its plot and characters.
Alright, well, I don't care about that necessarily. Maybe he has a problem with the story. I don't know about the story. Next game is an Ace Attorney one that he has, like, a particular hate boner for. I don't know, he's talked about this on the channel, I think, a few times.
Surprising no one, it's time once again to talk about our favorite illiterate Captain Shithead. Let's run through the greatest hits of what makes this game so awful. To start with, this game's script is broken. Every single case is bleeding with critical logic errors, even more than I discovered on my first playthrough 2 years ago. Significantly more, as a matter of fact. Even I-
Okay, well, you know, I don't know anything about this. This sounds like he might have real complaints. It doesn't sound like a complete, you know, skill issue, so sure, fine, okay.
I really struggled to decide which game would earn this spot. As a reminder, I've imposed a rule that I'm only allowed to have one game per series on this list, and to be frank, that rule was imposed specifically so that we wouldn't end up talking about 3 Danganronpa games in a row, because let's be clear, they'd all be up here in the top 5 otherwise. Of course, I could always just say Danganronpa Decadence is one of the games and call it a day, but let's not take the easy way out. So then, which Danganronpa game is most deserving of the title of second worst game I've ever played? Well, after much deliberation, the conclusion I've arrived at is that for as much of a morally reprehensible, mechanically imbalanced nightmare as Ultra Despair Girls is, and for as little effort as was put into Ultimate Summer Camp, for as laughably horrible its dialogue is,
I mean, I don't know much about this fucking series other than a bunch of depraved women like
for
it.
as brain dead as its combat mechanics are, for as out of character as these bonus interactions are, and for as greedy as its EA microtransaction system is in regards to blatantly locking characters behind paywalls like it's a gacha game, the degree to which V3 utterly and irreparably nuked the entire universe of Danganronpa is something I just cannot overlook.
Okay, cool, good. I'm sure it's a terrible game. What's your number one? I don't care about anime game. Is this gonna be something funny? Is it gonna be like Zelda or something? Oh, it's FNAF. Unbelievable. It's a fucking FNAF game.
Never in a million years could I have ever predicted that the series would fall this far. Admittedly, I did have concerns about Sealwolf's ability to carry the FNAF franchise into the future. They crafted an incredible tribute to the series and helped one it with faithfully recreated VR versions of the original games, as well as unique one-off minigames in both the base game and Curse of Dreadbear DLC. But the operative part of that sentence is one-off. Help One is an incredible tribute and a whole lot of fun to play, but it is, at its core, a collection of minigames. Even though plenty of them were original Sealwolf creations, that doesn't change the fact that they were still nothing more than
Yeah.
one-off, 5-minute adventures at maximum. The team had absolutely no experience crafting a full-fledged original FNAF game, and especially not something this insanely ambitious.
Right.
And yet, even with all my concerns, I was still more than willing to go into this new game with an open mind to see just what the studio was cooking up, given how much
I'm
they...
sure it was really terrible. Okay, so he doesn't like the FNAF game. You know, I've heard that one's pretty bad, so I guess that's fair. I don't know. That was a fairly interesting video. It was funny when he revealed that he just didn't have any friends. And that's why he couldn't play Among Us, and he couldn't play it like the real Among Us game. So that was fun. That was a fun video.